and I'm going to show you how to program iPhones. Now, this is really small, isn't it? So, one of the things I did, wow, look at this, it's going to be fun. Right, so one of the things I did when, after selling the company, I was obviously director of Iona, and they used to send me all over the place to talk to clients and bits and pieces like that. And I used to effectively sit on planes, so I decided I'd learn how to program the iPhone, which was just out. This was 2007, so I'm going to say hello world. And I learned to program the iPhone, so I found a few little companies, people that I worked with before, Restaurant Guides, the Pub Guide, a very favorite of mine, and effectively created those programs, and it made enough money to employ people, which was sort of good. So I'm just going to bung this in here. You see I created it before, so I'm going to replace that. I've got to kill the other one. Never do demos live. Now I can't see the screen, so there we go. Stop tasks. Create, replace. There we go. Right. This has vastly improved over the years that Apple have basically had this out. It's wonderfully simple. You can type hello world in virtually any language, but if you do it on the iPhone, it's just that air of satisfaction of having it on your little gadget. And of course, it's just much easier than you might imagine, apart from the fact you don't normally do it on a VGA screen. So anyway, hello world, I put it in. We can decide whether we want it portrait, upside down, sideways, etc. And obviously, there's not enough space to even see anything on here. I can put a little icon in. I can't because I can't even see my desktop to drag it in. And we'll just click. I can't even find the buttons now. Okay, so we've got a Hello World application. So what this does, there's a whole bunch of templates. Apple has got a sort of a rather amusing, I'm cheating here because I'm going to, because I knew I was short of time. I've got a little cheat sheet here. So the way it works is there's a graphical tool, and effectively there's the programming part. Now the programming part is obviously Objective-C. Now if you've never programmed Objective-C, you'll learn it. It's pretty quick. It's sort of Java-esque. It's object-oriented. There's a few nice features about it. So a few things will drive you mad. But you know, apart from that, you'll learn it in a few weeks, and you'll be fairly efficient. You can read it very quickly. Now, if you're putting buttons and things on a screen, effectively buttons have listeners, as fairly obvious, and anything that needs to be updated on the screen needs to have a pointer to it or a reference to it that we can update it. So I'm going to put a little button on the screen and some text, and obviously the button needs a listener, and the label, which we're going to write to, needs a pointer. So I'm going to create an outlet, which is a UI label, and I'm going to call that my label. Okay? And then I'm going to create, now this is the .h file. For those familiar with C, will be very obvious. In Java world, because the compiler is not going through all of the Java, it needs a .h file for its definitions. So here's the action listener. I'm going to call do button. That should do the trick. Semicolon at the end, good. Now I'm going to go back into my storyboard. This is the bit where I can do all the design, normally in a much larger screen. There should be somewhere here a little iPhone. Oh, that is the iPhone. The iPhone's got a better resolution than VGA. There you go. I'll stick a label somewhere down here. This is going to be rather weird. Anyway, so here's the label. Here's the button. So we'll just say, click me. And click the button. That'll do. Now, we can change the fonts. We can do all sorts of nice, clever things, if you could see it on the screen. The advantage of a VGA screen is, of course, everything's nice and chunky. You can actually read it. Disadvantage is obvious. Now, along here on the side, oh, look, there's more of it. I've got these things called, I don't know what they're called, actually. They're little sort of references which I can now drag them across to my program. So here's the label. So I'm going to say referencing outlet to the label. I drag it across to my view controller, which was the .h that I had. And I've now got to the options here. So I click on my label. And effectively that references across. Here's my button, and I can also reference the button because I might want to move the button, I might want to change something on the button, I might want to change the color or something like that. I don't want to do that here because we don't have much time. I have a whole bunch of different things in buttons. You can click on the button, so you get the press. You get the press when you drag into it. It's a bit like sort of mouse over and all these other things. So the one we typically use up is touch up inside, which sounds rather sexual, but it's just the way my mind works. Sorry. And we basically get onto the M file. So now, if I copy my template of my function and actually create a method here, I can now say mylabel.text equals, we use an @ sign to in front of the quotes so that we know it's Unicode rather than ASCII. Hello world. That should do. So what will happen now if I run it? We get a little button. Now it's all sort of moved around because unfortunately, as you well know, the iPhone screen is fairly high resolution and it exceeds this. So if we now click on this, we get hello world. There we go. There are some really nice things. We do have a little bit more time. So what I've got in here, let me get rid of my Skype chat before we get some really embarrassing moments. Because I have some colleagues that have rather bad language and things. So I've got some little bits and pages here. So I can cut and paste some of these. This is cheating, I'm sure you know. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut and paste this, and I'll walk you through it. Just got a couple of minutes. Go back into my... Right, so I've got my do button. There's some interesting stuff here. I have the ability to really, really quickly execute something after a delay. So I've got this, as you can hopefully see here, this perform selector, and it performs the do thank you method. The do thank you method says thank you. It sets the text to thank you. That runs after 5 seconds. I should do these in order really. We have another one which moves the label. Now, the animation is built into the iPhone, and it's really nice the way it works. So we just look at the move label at the bottom. Effectively, we set up a new center point, and we set up what it's going to do before the animation, what it does after the animation, and then effectively we kick it off, and we tell it how long we want the animation to last. This is how you do the page turns and the sort of nice flip ups and flip downs and things. And then also we can change the color of the background, for example. And these all kick off one after the other. So again, if I run this now, we have click me, says hello world, moves, changes the color, and then says thank you. There we go. Right, while we swap over laptops and bits and pieces, so any questions on the iPhone side of things? Yep, one at the front. Sorry? There are lots of tests in there. If we started with the tests, obviously, which I would do normally, I build up all my test hello worlds, test button, etc. We wouldn't see much of the hello world in 10 minutes, but yes, one of the buttons on there does say create tests, and it's actually quite good. Any more questions? You're going to program iPhones now? You basically have to pay a little tax to Apple, about, I think it's $99. You get a year's license. You then obviously get all the Xcode stuff. You can download it. You can program iPhones, iPads, Mac, etc. There's loads of resources on the internet. It's very quick. I've got 3 sons, 9, 11, and 14. I've tried them with Logo, I've tried them with Python, I've tried them with all sorts of different languages. We went out and we bought RaspberryPis and all sorts of bits and pieces, but this is the first time where they can actually program something where they can still sit in front of the TV and play with it. So it's sort of working. Nothing else? No questions at all? Okay, thank you very much.